Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Second Take Cinema, coming at you from the glorious Impala Films headquarters in funky Southend-on-Sea.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Jamie Evans, joined by Rory Jocelyn.
Hello, everybody. I was going to try and think of something witty, and I couldn't.
Because you're not smart enough.
Shut
and
up.
today we turn back time.
You did that joke last time we did the intro.
To the year 19... That's we turn back time.
I like it.
To the year 1999 to give a second take to 3 To Tango. To Tango is a 1999 romantic comedy movie directed by Damon Santostefano, written by Rodney Patrick Vaccaro and Aline Brosh McKenna, starring Matthew Perry, Neve Campbell, Dylan McDermott, and Oliver Platt. It was made for a budget of $20 million, and it made $10.6 million. Only made half its budget back.
Yeah.
In terms of reception...
And that was Matthew Perry at his peak.
Yep. His film career was never great.
And Neve Campbell as well, because she just come off
This is
the
after
screen.
Scream 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry's film career was never great if you look at his films.
No, I think his best one, like in terms of sales, was probably Whole Nine Yards. And then they made a sequel which bombed.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, 28% of reviews are positive. With an average rating of 4.4 out of 10. The website's consensus reads, a mediocre episode of Friends has more humour and less offensive gay jokes.
Actually, you'd look at some young people talking about Friends online nowadays, they might disagree with that.
Roger Ebert praised Neve Campbell's appeal, but gave the film one...
I bet he did.
Yeah, but gave the film 1 star, saying it had an idiot plot in which no one ever says what obviously must be said to clear up the confusion.
Yes.
It is a sitcom plot where it's entirely based on misunderstanding, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a half-hour plot stretched to an hour and a half.
Yeah. Writing for the New York Times, Stephen Holden criticised the film for its predictability and use of gay cliches. In trying to be both bold and non-threatening, the movie ends up seeming tame and mildly offensive. The film fared poorly with audiences as well as critics. 3 to Tango opened at number 8 at the box office, bringing in $4.4 million on its opening weekend, earning just $10.6 million overall against a budget of $20 million. So, not a rip-roaring success.
No, definitely not.
And we're going to talk about how the film plays in the year 2024. Okay, so 3 to Tango. This is one that moi put in the hat.
You did.
This is a film I saw when I was very young. Maybe 10 or 11 I saw this at. I was an avid Friends fan. And was collecting the VHSs of Friends that used to have.
It had like 3 episodes.
4 episodes a piece.
Yeah.
So that's,
because that's 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 episodes a piece. So it's probably something like, I don't know. Oh God, I don't know. Over 30 videotapes, I bet, to get the whole show.
Let me have a look. What, for the whole series?
Yeah. So that's 200 and something episodes.
So it's 26 times 10, roughly, isn't it, for the number of episodes?
24. There's 24 a season.
24 times 10, so that's 240 divided by 4.
Yeah.
60 videotapes.
I had about 60
Jesus
friends.
Christ.
Yeah. I had about 60 friends videotapes.
People moan about fucking box sets nowadays, going, "Oh, I'd much rather stream it because
Yeah.
it's fiddly going through a box set." 60 VHS
Oh, yeah,
tapes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had a shelf like the listeners can't see it, but I have a bookshelf full of DVDs. I had a shelf like that as a kid, but it was pretty much all Friends VHSs.
Man.
Yep, and then VHS went the way of the dodo bird, and I had to rebuy them all on DVD.
You know, I've got the whole Friends series on Blu-ray, the big collector's box set. It's really good, like brilliant that they've gone back to the cinema negatives, rescanned it. Looks fantastic. However, the one downside to it versus the old DVDs is that the old DVDs had the extended editions of each episode. So if not every episode was extended, but when there was extra material, you could find it on the DVDs. They're not on the Blu-rays. I don't know why. But yeah, it would be cool to maybe patch those back into my episodes. But
yeah, well, what's funny now is I actually don't have all of them on DVD now. I think I'm missing one season, if I remember right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I think I'm missing a season.
Well, if I ever rip the Blu-ray, I'll send
Please do.
a copy of them your way. They'll be huge, though, because they're Blu-ray files.
Well, I've got a new hard drive now, thanks to you.
They won't fit on 2 terabytes, trust me.
What, the whole show?
So when I've been looking at... Yeah, so for Star Trek Voyager, which is standard def, not high def, that in total comes to about 60 gig, right? That's for standard def. So for 4 times the image quality for full HD, you'd be looking at... you're probably looking at 800 gig.
Wow.
Yeah. It's what people don't realize is, like, you know, you can get so many terabytes hard drive now and it's only small. It's like, yeah, but if you think about the amount of space that, like, even VHS tapes and things like that, the amount of data you get in actually of quite a small and replaceable form factor, it's actually not worth converting them all onto hard drive unless you really need to.
Right.
The only reason I've done it, really, if I'm being honest, is because I've had to downsize temporarily. Yeah. So it was like, well, rather than I can't have a whole Blu-ray and DVD collection anywhere. Yeah. So I've had to buy hard drives, but it's cost. I've got, like, my Blu-ray collection isn't that big, and I've still got to have I've got at least 4, maybe 5 hard drives. And I've got 3 4 terabytes and 2 5 terabyte hard drives.
And that's why standard def's the way to go. Anyway.
But even then, it's still 60 gig for a whole show.
So anyway, the trailer for this movie was on, I believe it was all the season 7 VHSs, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I can work this out. Hang on. 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99... 2000, yeah. So this film would have come out on VHS around 2000, which is when season 7 aired.
It's weird then, it had because I mean, being marketed with Friends being the biggest show ever at the time, you would have thought it would have given it some sway at being purchased, watched. I wonder if it ever made its money back on video sales.
It might have done, I don't know.
Because obviously we only look at the box office sales. But...
Yeah, I've never met anyone else who's ever seen it,
so
unless
I've
shown it to them.
I've not heard of it as like a cult hit or anything like that.
Well, I think it's fairly obvious why.
Yes.
But anyway, I remember thinking it was funny. I remember I was very young and I was just like, oh, it's Chandler. It's Chandler in Another Thing.
And it is basically Chandler.
And it is Chandler, I'm not going to lie. I like Matthew Perry, but he ain't acting in this. He's just playing Chandler. And I remember the bit in the trailer that I remember stuck with me was him running down the street screaming, and then all the pigeons come and land on him.
Yes.
And then he carries on screaming.
Yeah, that bit is funny. Though what I find funny about that sequence is the reason he's running around down the street screaming is because he's only just figured out that the woman he fancies thinks he's gay. So he runs down the street screaming with his hands in the air. I'm like, that's the campus shit you could be doing, right?
To be fair, is another reason I was like, oh, it's Chandler, because a recurring element in Chandler's character
is that everyone thinks he's gay.
What is it about me? You just have a quality. Well, that's great.
Yeah, me thinks that it's something that Matthew Perry heard a lot of as a person, something I've heard a lot of, even though I'm not gay. You know, if people, and again, it's something people can't quantify. Why do you think I'm gay? It's this kind of maybe some
you
quality.
Have a quality.
Yeah, and it's like I can't fix that, or I can't change a quality. Like, what the hell is that? But so he's probably heard that. So, like, I feel for him in some ways in that front. You can't fix it. It's just something that you get basically bestowed upon you. That being said, it's one thing to find that annoying and go, oh, that's weird, or to make the odd joke about it. But the fact that it comes up so continuously in Matthew Perry works. Again, it's a lot of Chandler in Friends. It's this entire movie. I swear it comes up at least once in Whole Nine Yards as well.
Right.
It's quite a common theme that Matthew Perry will bring in. And it's like, by this point, Matthew, everyone knows you're straight. A, because you made such a song and dance about it as Chandler. But, like, you don't need to keep... Bear in mind, he was quite quick. He's a quick wit, is Matthew Perry. He's not stupid. Far from it. Very clever, very quick-witted, very funny. The fact that he kept relying on the one trope is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit at this point.
I think before we go on, because it's the first chance we've really had to, because it's the first Matthew Perry film we've done, we should probably take a pause for the cause and mention that, sadly, we lost Matthew Perry at the end of last year, 2023.
Yes.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Mate, it's one of the... Celebrity deaths are meant to affect a lot of people. Most of them don't affect me too much.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry's affected me.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. I'm not someone who usually gets all weepy when celebrities die. It's, don't get me wrong, I respect their work, but they're not like part of my family or anything. Matthew Perry dying is probably the first person where for me, it's very much like, that was a huge, huge part of my life growing up was Friends.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Friends as a young teenager. Like I said, I had all those VHSs, and you better believe I wore those tapes out. Like, I was watching it. I grew up in a family where I wasn't allowed out a lot, like, socially, because my parents were a bit overprotective. And I lived in a pretty rough neighborhood. And I used to spend my summer holidays just sitting watching Friends over and over and over. It got to a point where I actually couldn't watch it for a while because I knew every episode back to front.
Yeah.
I could literally sit and recite them for you.
Yeah.
And losing Matthew Perry, especially pretty young, only 54 years old, it really was like losing a part of my... Because especially, like, Chandler was my favourite character.
He's the one I identified most with. I wanted to identify more with Joey, but I was never that good with
women.
a
lot of my sense of humour, like my early building blocks of my sense of humour and my idea of comedic timing starts with Matthew Perry. To this day, I love sarcasm humour. You see it in Haunted all the time. James Hunter's constantly, like, making sarcastic quips and things like that.
And it's self-derogatory sort of humour. Like, Ross and Joey weren't particularly self-derogatory in their humour. Matthew Perry, I think it was, brought that to the character of Chandler quite a lot. And because he brings it into all of his film projects as well. I think it's... I'm guessing a self-protective thing, the same as it was for you, same as it is for me. Self-burns is quite common with Chandler, and I identified a lot with that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that there's a slight difference as well between this and, say, James Avery, who played Uncle Phil in Fresh Prince. When he passed away, it was a lot earlier. It was sort of I think, late 2000s, early 2010s. But the other difference is, while that was huge, like, I couldn't believe we'd lost James Avery. He's the voice of Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He is Uncle Phil, one of the greatest TV dads I've ever seen. He's great. Hilarious actor as well, and according to all accounts, a lovely man. But the slight difference is, when I watched Fresh Prince, the whole point of Uncle Phil as a character was that he was already an older man. Whereas with Chandler, he was a young man, a very young man, not my age, because I was actually, in my at the best in my teens, but he was the closest of the youth age that we identify with. We haven't lost a lot of them yet.
No,
not outside of drug abuse and stuff like that, like Lily, is it?
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse. Same person. No, we haven't lost a lot of young people and certainly not ones that had enough time to make a big cultural impact before they went. So it was incredibly sad. It did affect me for a few days. I was like, I still can't believe he's gone. Like, surely he's not like, I know he was having problems with drugs and stuff like that, and I know that may have killed him tangentially over time, but he didn't take a load of drugs and die that way, which was, I suppose, good. He kind of found a route out by the end. But yeah, it was just weird. It was one of those things where you're like, oh, surely he's going to be back in some future meetup.
Yeah.
But
well, they'd just done the reunion thing not long before, had they?
Yeah.
And he'd just done his autobiography. I did a rewatch after he died. I did a rewatch of Friends, and actually, it was probably the wrong thing to do because it was so sad.
Yeah,
watching it,
you can't enjoy the humor of it while it's still that raw.
I was just like, I can't believe that he's gone. Like, because there's always been. I'm not even saying I wanted it to happen. But there's always been rumours that Friends would come back. Makes sense. Everything comes back now. How many things from the 90s have been rebooted? X-Files, 24.
Yep.
So many shows they've brought back. And there was always that rumour, weren't there? Every year, they're working on a Friends revival. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And I'm not even saying I wanted that because Friends had a near-perfect 10-year run and it had a great ending.
And I don't think there's a way you could bring it back without taking something away from it. Really.
Yeah, but
there are some shows you can revive. I don't think Friends can.
No, but now you literally can't do it.
It's the same with Fresh Prince, though. Once Uncle Phil had died, you can't bring the show back.
Yeah.
Because what's the show without Uncle Phil?
Yeah.
He was the person that Will Smith ground against. That was the point. But also, you couldn't really bring it back anyway, because by this point, Will Smith is a full-grown-ass adult.
So, having said that, and having said our little tribute to Matthew Perry, 3 to Tango, a film you'd never seen it, first time seeing for you. For anyone who doesn't know, the basic plot of 3 to Tango is Matthew Perry plays Oscar Novak, who is one half of a small architectural firm, along with his business partner, played by Oliver Platt, and
Olivier, Laurence Olivier.
Sorry. And they are pitching to a billionaire called Charles, played by Dylan McDermott, to get a contract to redesign the Telford building, which is an iconic building in Chicago. They're up against another firm who are basically have a bigger budget than they have. They're able to use all sorts of fancy virtual reality technology to do their pitch, whereas Oscar and his partner are going more with the traditional, blueprints and drawings and
virtual
things.
reality stuff was shit.
Yeah. And Charles, the billionaire, is married, but also has a mistress named Amy, played by Neve Campbell. Due to a little mix-up, he ends up thinking that Oscar is gay. Although he's not, his business partner is. Oscar's actually straight. And because he thinks Oscar's gay, he sort of employs Oscar on the side to pal around with Amy to make sure she's not meeting any other guys. Particularly, he's insecure about her ex-boyfriend, Kevin Cartwright, who's an American football player.
Big black guy.
Big muscular black guy, who later turns out to be gay himself.
Yeah. So
Dylan McDermott's worried over nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Even though Neve Campbell tells you about how big his Johnson is.
Yeah. And basic rom-com hijinks ensue, with misunderstandings, lies. The whole plot could be resolved if people were just fucking honest with each other.
Yep, as said by a reviewer.
Yeah, until Oscar ends up in a weird situation where he is nominated for the Gay Businessman of the Year award, and waits until the moment he's on stage to accept the award to announce that he's not gay and declare his love for Amy. Let's get the cat out of the bag right now, address the elephant in the room, as they say. The film's a little bit offensive.
A little bit?
I didn't personally find it offensive, but it definitely employs a lot of gay stereotypes, and the entire film is based around the misconception of somebody being gay. And
it definitely fits the mold of gay panic in several places.
Definitely. Like when his 3 jock friends mistakenly think he's gay, they hear it through the grapevine, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're all sitting there like, one of them goes, "You remember that time we went to the spa and your hand accidentally brushed mine when we got in the hot tub? Were you coming on to me, man?" And you're like, dude, like,
yeah,
for fuck's sake.
it is. The thing is, in terms of premise, I actually don't mind it. Like, it makes sense with, certain things. I mean, obviously, it's been written to set this shit up. But in terms of the predicament, I think this guy might be gay. I'll hire him to make sure my wife isn't my mistress isn't banging someone else. Fine. Because he's gay, he thinks he's fine. That establishing is fine. The problem is it never really gets past it. So the next hour is just pretend to be gay. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'm totally not gay. Oh, I won't tell her I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'm definitely not gay. Oh, now everyone thinks I'm gay, but I'm not gay. I won't tell her I'm not gay though. It's like it never really gets past that second gear.
Yeah.
It needs to find something else to move on to.
Yeah.
I think that would have saved a lot of the potential offensiveness of the film.
Yeah.
I say potential because not being gay, I don't take any offence to it, and I don't know what would be offensive or what wouldn't be. It does a couple of things smartly to try and counterbalance that by making his business partner gay and call Matthew Perry's character out on it.
Yes.
There is certain elements like that going on, and the fact that the black football
Kevin Cartwright.
Right, that's it. Kevin Cartwright is also gay, and he's just like, I just kind of worked it out later on in life, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of more positive gay representation to sort of help counterbalance it. Yeah. I just don't think, because it never gets past that second gear, it never has a chance to sort of be congratulated on doing that, because it's too busy still playing on the old trope.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, starting with the characters...
Yeah.
We've already spoken about the fact that Matthew Perry might as well be called Chandler Bing in this film.
Yeah.
Sadly, it is very similar.
Yes.
Now, to be fair, the man was making Friends and making this movie at the same time. I imagine that was quite difficult to shift out of gear.
Yeah, true.
But your cast is obviously made up of other people. I want to say a good job is actually done by Dylan McDermott, who is delightfully unlikable in this movie.
He often plays villainous men, but he does them. He's enjoyable to hate.
Yes, he is quite the prick in this. For starters, he's shown as being completely germophobic whenever he touches someone else. You get the bit where he shakes their hand and then immediately sanitizes his hand.
Does he not only do that with
Oscar and
because he thinks they're gay?
Maybe, right. I didn't pick up on that.
Because he definitely does it with them, but I don't recall him doing it with anyone else.
No, I think I've just made the assumption that he does. You're probably right. He also, I mean, for God's sake, the man has a wife and a mistress and then is concerned the mistress might sleep with someone else. You're like, dude, sense the tone. He ends up spending the night at Oscar's flat because Amy's staying with Oscar, and immediately turns around and starts criticising it, doesn't he? This place is a dump, let me put you in the Four Seasons, etc., etc. I think Oliver Platt does a good job in this film as well. I think he does quite a good job of counterbalancing.
Yes, the only negative I have to Oliver Platt's interpretation of a gay character, and I don't know if Oliver Platt is gay or not himself.
I actually don't either.
But the only downside I have to his interpretation of this character is right at the end, when there's a chase sequence. I won't go into it at this point, but there's a chase sequence when he's running after Matthew Perry and Dylan McDermott, he's running with his for some reason he's like pointy finger. Yeah, he's flouncing. His finger and his thumb are put together like circles, and he's mincing as he runs behind them. And I'm like, what? Why'd you do that? Like, the rest of your character hasn't been this like this stereotypical, and then all of a sudden he's running like a complete mince. It's the one negative I'd put to his performance, because the rest of it's fantastic.
And Neve Campbell, I think Neve Campbell does a fine job. It's not a terribly complex character, unfortunately, but I think she does a good job of, she doesn't feel like a typical waifish female rom-com character. She feels like she's her own character with her own wants and needs and desires.
Yes, and to be fair, the relationship between her and Matthew Perry feels natural.
It does.
I think it works.
They
like
have
the chemistry, yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like, he is the sort of partner that she's been waiting for. I think the one downside is that, like a lot of these sorts of films, her wants and needs sort of become secondary to his.
Yes.
During the course of the film. So it starts off, it's more about how she feels and him liking her. And then towards the end, it's just like, no, you don't understand. I had to lie because of this, this, and this.
Yeah. The film wrestles it back a little bit.
It does a bit.
Because she decks him one.
But
then it's like a scene later, she forgives him.
Yeah, she forgives him off camera. Like, nothing happens to make her remember something to forgive him.
They do a typical 90s montage, don't they?
Oh, God.
You just get some indie rock music and shots of them both standing around the city staring into the middle distance.
God, I hate that shit.
And then she just comes in and she's forgiven him all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And you're like,
okay. So basically, when they first meet, and go out for this evening, it ends up, it's not what you consider a perfect date. He goes to her art gallery to meet her. Someone nearly destroys a piece of her art, which he manages to save.
By getting trapped
By getting smashed under it and crushed like a bug. She decides to take him to some sort of party afterwards. They catch a cab that breaks down. She smacks him in the bollocks with another taxi door because she's trying to pull it open. Her shoes come off in the mud because it starts to rain. Smacks him in the face.
And then the tuna melts.
And then
that make them throw up.
Yeah, so
I must admit, I love the bit where he vomits, stands up and goes, "It just does not get better than this."
Yeah. So they do all of that. And the reason I mention it is, so their first date isn't even perfect, but it's how they found each other during that conversation. That's why it works so well. The way she reconciles with him at the end is he goes to the vomit tuna melt shop for some reason. He's not been back since that point, because why would you? So he's gone back there. He's ordered a tuna melt to vomit. Like, that was the good memory. And then as he's about to take the bite, she's like, "Don't eat that. I knew you'd be here.
I thought I'd find you here.
Why? So why? Why would you go back to the vomit shop?"
It's when he goes, "But I deserve to die." And you're like, well, jump off a bridge. Don't eat a fucking tuna melt.
You're not going to die from a tuna melt.
Oh.
You melt.
It doesn't work, does it?
No.
Except it does on an emotional level.
Yeah, it's because, I thought you... But there should have been something to make us, like, maybe... We should have seen her turn around somewhere. It didn't have to be big. She may have gone to his apartment or something and they're like, "What are you doing here?" So, as much as he's embarrassed me, I really like him. I'd like to give him a chance. Is he here? No, he's not. He's gone. He said he's gone somewhere to remember you, or he said he's, gone somewhere to kill himself or something. I don't know. Maybe not that extreme. But then she goes, "Oh, where would he go to, kill himself, or what would remind him of our first night? The tuna melt shop." And that would give us a natural reason for her to go there and go, "I thought I'd find you here." But we don't get any of that. It's just a weird plot hole.
Yeah. How well, A, did the comedy ever work, do you think? But B, how does the comedy play in 2024?
That's difficult. I think the gay panic would have worked better in 99. I think it was a bit dated for 99, but there was still some films being made that took advantage of that at the time, things like The Birdcage. which I did enjoy. I think The Birdcage is a better film than this, but I haven't seen it in years, so I'd need to watch it again. I think the fact that it's got Robin Williams and Nathan Lane helps a lot with The Birdcage.
And Gene Hackman, isn't it?
And Hank Azaria.
And Hank Azaria.
Yeah, it's actually got a probably a better cast than this in terms of star quality, at least. But yeah, so that had a very similar vibe, but it didn't feel quite as disrespectful as this does in certain points. The other, though, to be fair, Nathan Lane is mincing it up horrendously, whereas Oliver Platt isn't doing that in this film. So the full-on gay lead of the film, as it were, is probably played better in this than it is in The Birdcage.
Yeah. I think it's... Because I'll be honest, having seen this film many times now, since I was about 10 or 11, maybe 12, the film has never been, for me anyway, hilariously funny.
No, I never found myself laughing out loud.
It's always been more that sort of...
It's amusing.
Comforting humour.
You know what? I've never seen it before, but it had a very similar effect. Maybe because it relies on a lot of 90s tropes, perhaps. But there was something about watching this film where I didn't find it offensive. I could probably see where gay people might find it offensive in places, for sure. But it's not like the end of Ace Ventura offensive. That being said, I'm not gay, so I can't really speak to how offensive it is now. It's definitely more offensive now than it was in the 90s. Because the idea of having gay representation at all in the 90s was more positive. Whereas now, it's the quality of the gay representation that matters. So, the fact that there was gays on screen, perfectly fine. It did do a lot of that thing, but it is also shown as a negative when it's employed, where characters would say, oh, you're gay. No, it's okay. It's all good. Whatever you want to do in your home bedroom, it's all fine. You know, I'm progressive because I'm saying this. But to be fair, whenever any character is saying that, it's shown that they're being an arsehole at the time. So Dylan McDermott says it when he comes to stay at Matthew Perry's house. And he's just like, no, it's all cool. Whatever you guys do in your own bedrooms, you know, it doesn't bother me. You know, I'm all good for you guys being whatever you want to be. And then Matthew Perry has a moment where he says it to Oliver Platt. But in that moment, to be fair, the film does have Oliver Platt go, do you know how much of an arsehole you're being right now?
Yeah.
You know, so... And Oliver Platt is running that scene pretty much.
And Oscar admits it, doesn't he? He says, I'm sorry, I'm insensitive, I'm a jerk.
Yeah, which he is being.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing of, I'm actually being really nice by saying I accept you for being gay. Do what you want to do, whatever, bro. It doesn't bother me. But by saying it, it makes it sound like it should have bothered you in the first place. It's kind of an odd one. So, but in the 90s, that played better, I think, than it does now.
Yes.
But there is something comforting about this. I don't know what it is, because, again, it's not really that funny, for the most part. It's humorous, but it's not... I don't watch it like I watch something like Liar Liar or Galaxy Quest or Airplane or Red Dwarf, where I'm guffawing at points. But it is fun.
I think maybe it's a mix of... There's nothing wildly taxing mentally in the film. It's certainly not a film that you have to sit there figuring it out or thinking about.
No, not at all.
It's got a pleasant but not standout jazz soundtrack.
Yes.
And it's Chandler Bing. That's the thing. It's a person who, even if you saw this at the time it came out, you're 6 or 7 seasons into knowing this character, you feel... Because there is no difference.
No.
He's playing Chandler.
Oscar is Chandler. There is no difference.
You're feeling this comfort to the point where I almost just sat there going... Where's Joey and Ross and Phoebe and Monica and Rachel?
Do you remember when it first showed Dylan McDermott? It's his face on the cover of a magazine. I thought it was Ross.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm Ross. I kind of want to do a redub of this, but I'll dub Ross lines over Dylan McDermott.
Hi. Jeez, this guy says hello, I want to kill myself.
What I find funny about that in retrospect is he says that. This guy says hello, I want to kill myself. That's been your best friend since college, we find out.
No, Joey says that line, doesn't he?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Friends did mess up a bit with all the flashbacks over time.
Well, I mean, Ross had 4 different birthdays throughout the series.
Yeah, I love the I just want to be married again, Rachel comes in the wedding dress, and I just want $1 million. I'm looking at the weenus, and I'm not happy.
Yeah. There was something about those earlier seasons where the dialogue was a little sharper. Not in so much as in, like, it's better, per se, because that will depend entirely on what sort of flavour of comedy you want. But they did a lot more, certainly in the pilot, there's about 2 or 3 times where Chandler or someone else is just telling a story of some shit that's happened to them. And it's not relevant to the wider episode. It will just be this happened, and it's almost like a comedy bit.
So I'm in school, and I'm naked, and I look down, and there's a phone there.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the episode.
All of a sudden, the phone starts to ring. Turns out it's my mother.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny about Friends? I know we're going off topic now. As a youngster, not that I'm old now, but as a younger youngster,
Tell them about it, Sonny.
I always preferred the later seasons as a youngster. Because in the later seasons, the show becomes a bit more goofy, a bit more tropey.
Yeah.
It's a bit more out there with the comedy. Like the one that always stuck in my head was the Holiday Armadillo.
Yes.
I'm the Holiday Armadillo.
Was that late?
That's season 7.
Wow.
Holiday Armadillo is season 7.
Wow. Yeah,
Hey,
I suppose it is. Yeah, it makes sense.
You think you can keep that Santa outfit one more night? Did your dad ever dress up like Santa? No, then it's okay. But when I did do my rewatch recently, because here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. I've not watched Friends in a long time because, as I said, I overdid it. Watching the early seasons again now, and realising that I am now older than they are in those early seasons. They're in their early 20s in those early seasons.
Well, I'm older than them at the end of the series.
I think I am. I think some of them are 33 at the end, and that's it.
Yeah, they're all younger than me by the end of the series.
And it's mental, because I was into that show as a teenager, and I kept thinking of them as real grown-ups.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're grown-ups.
They're old.
Yeah.
The series started, 94?
Yeah.
So I was 8 when it started.
I was 3 years old when it started.
See, I was 8, so I was old enough to remember watching it as it came on TV.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, these are the older grown-ups. These are the older people. Old people, quote-unquote. Because I was 8.
Yeah, and now we're older than they are.
And now I'm like, oh, there were children at the end of the show compared to me. Let alone at the fucking start.
Yeah.
But I find that the comedy changed over it, and also the fashion changed, which was interesting. It seemed to be a lot more 90s in the first couple of seasons.
Of course it was.
Then it became very fashion-oriented as as it went through the series, to the point where they kind of lost their own unique looks. The first season, everyone had kind of a unique look to themselves. Like, Joey was very much dressed as the badass, even though he was too cute for it, really, let's be honest.
I've got a book. It's not up there, actually. I've got a book that's got a whole chapter in it about the fashion choices they made and how the fashion choices change as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Like, written by the costume designers.
Yeah.
Because I think they do keep a look as the look changes. They all become a bit too fashionable looking.
Yeah.
When really Rachel's the only one it makes sense for.
Yeah.
But that's because it was the hottest show on television, and all these fashion brands were like, wear our outfit and we'll pay some money towards the film, the show.
Considering they're paying like $1 million to each person per episode.
Yeah, so you're talking a minimum budget of $6 million per episode.
Yeah, that's just for the 6 main cast.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's so hard to tell. Oh God, I sound so old. It was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
The likes of which we're probably never going to see again.
It's the Michael Jackson of sitcoms.
Yeah.
You were like, Michael Jackson was big in a way that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Even Taylor Swift can't measure up to like the cultural impact. Taylor Swift's massive, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from her.
It's not an overly deep film, is it? It's actually tough to think of things to talk about with it.
It is the pop of its time. There is no depth to it, really.
And it didn't do well.
No, which is an ironic thing, considering how much it was pushed and what weight it had behind it. Neve Campbell and Matthew Perry arguably at the top of their careers. But again, like we were talking about costuming and Friends, but Oscar in this, Matthew Perry's character, just dressed like Chandler. There's nothing even unique in his costume. It feels like it does. Honestly, when it did the Chicago skyline, because it's set in Chicago, not New York, I was still looking for the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Because
the
it's
only
just like,
time
this is definitely like, even that establishing shot is a New York establishing
the
shot from
only thing
Friends.
that gives away that it's Chicago, because this is the first time I've ever realised it's not New York, and it's because I noticed at the beginning when him and Oliver Platt are on their way to the job interview, they stop in front of a building that says Chicago Tribune on it.
Yeah.
Which is the Chicago paper. Honestly, without that, I'd have sat there going, yeah, this is set in New York.
Yeah.
I've always remembered it as set in New York.
Yep.
And to be honest, it's probably not that weird that he looks so similar, because actually, given how scheduling works, I imagine actually he probably was filming Friends during the day and then
Yeah, but they
coming
could
off
have
set
changed
to
his
shoot
costume.
this. No, I know.
They could have given him a more unique costume, maybe something more colourful, something more, I don't know, just something that's not Chandler Bing.
I get it, but they probably didn't want that. They were probably banking
On him being Chandler Bing.
on the Friends fan base coming and
watching
it. I'm
Yeah.
just going to have a look. Since it did so poorly, I just want to have a look at what films did well in 1999. Because you know what? I don't think it's many comedies. Because 1999, I doth believe, was the year of Matrix and Star Wars Episode 1, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, so a lot of sci-fi came out that year. That's smashed to the big time.
So there is one...
Galaxy Quest, though. Office Space.
Well, looking at the top 10 gross...
Juice Bigelow.
Looking at the top 10 highest grossing movies of that year, only one of them is a comedy. And you could make an argument that some of them have got comedy elements in it, but the only one that's an outright comedy is the 10th highest grossing movie of the year, which was Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Right.
Your top 10 highest grossing, just for anyone who cares, in descending order, so 10 to 1. 10, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. 9, American Beauty. 8, James Bond, The World Is Not Enough. 7, Notting Hill. That's a rom-com.
That's a rom-com.
That's your only rom-com in the list, I think. Number 6, The Mummy. Number 5, Tarzan. Number 4, The Matrix. Number 3, Toy Story 2. Number 2, and it's not very often you get a horror film in the top 10 highest grossing films of the year. Number 2, The Sixth Sense. Beaten only by...
Is that 99?
Yeah.
I thought that was at least 2001 or 2000.
Nope. Beaten... Oh, my God. Listen to this. So, Sixth Sense was the second highest grossing film of the year, right? That made $672 million. Right? Number 1 made $924 million. So that's a massive jump of basically $400 million. And it's Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
When it comes to comedies, from what I can see on this list, now obviously these aren't highest selling, these are just comedies, but some of these actually did very well, at least in comparison to their budgets, even if they didn't break the top 10. So South Park movie came out that year. That was massive. Yeah. Toy Story 2, that's more of a kid's film as well. Office Space, that's more of a cult hit, I think. But
I've got that and I've never watched it.
Mystery Men came out, but I know that did flop more than anything. There didn't seem to be a huge number of comedies by the looks of it, actually. Obviously, Galaxy Quest came out. That was a big film, and that did incredibly well. But, again, as you say, didn't breach the top 10 by the sounds of it. But Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me. Ali G in it.
Ali G in it?
Yeah, Ali G in it.
Never heard of that one.
Neither have I.
I've heard of Ali G in the House.
Yeah, I don't. It must be either a precursor or a following film. American Pie came out that year as well, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that didn't crack the top 10.
No, it didn't. So, but again, a huge success. So it looks like what the measure of success is doesn't necessarily correlate to being in the top 10. Certainly at a $20 million budget, Three to Tango would not have needed to crack the top 10 in order to make its money back.
No, as we said, it didn't even make half.
No. But it didn't... It seemed to be a year where there was a few comedies. Most of them didn't make their money back. And the ones that did seemed to be kind of... Well, Galaxy Quest is also part sci-fi and parody.
Austin Powers is a parody, which did make the top 10.
Yep, and also happened to come out in a year where there was a big name of Bond coming out that year simultaneously.
Well, there's not enough, yeah.
So it had that to run off of, which obviously this film had no, Friends never had a film come out simultaneously with it.
No. So does the film hold up is the question. In 2024, is there any value in watching To Tango?
You know what's weird is I kind of have a yes and a no to it.
Okay, go ahead.
But it depends on you as a person, an individual. I think if you're young, just fucking avoid it. Just skip. It's not a must-watch movie by any stretch of the imagination for anybody.
No.
How dated the film is. I mean, I don't think anyone anyone who can remember the 90s probably enjoy it. Anyone younger than that, just don't bother. Because I don't think it's aged well, and there are better examples of rom-coms to be watching. But it's actually quite enjoyable. Like, again, not belly laughter out loud sort of thing. But it's fun enough, and it's kind of a bit warming. I don't really understand why, either. Because it's, again, not a great movie by any stretch. But it's not trying to be offensive, even if it manages to do so.
It's not Postal.
No.
Postal is trying to offend.
Yeah.
This is causing offence by accident, by its own stupidity.
Yeah, naivety almost.
Yeah.
But there is something about it that, I don't know, as a straight guy, it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't like being considered gay either. and that's a problem with me, not with homosexuality.
Yeah.
But I get it as a vibe.
I think it's Chandler. I think if you took, as much as we're saying he's not acting, Matthew Perry, I think if you took him out, the film don't work. I think it works because of the goodwill we bear towards him, and I think, and I can't
maybe
believe
that's why it only works if you remember the 90s.
I can't
believe
believe
you got to remember Chandler. It's almost a capsule of him.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's sort of we don't have much of him anymore. There'll never be anything new. Yeah. This is one of the few movies we've got, because he didn't do many movies, only a handful. I've looked it up. In terms of films where he's the lead actor, you're looking at maybe 6 or 7 films.
This, Serving Sarah,
Fools Rush In,
the
Whole 9 and Whole 10.
Yep. Mr. Sunshine, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a series.
That's a series. I think
a film called Numb, apparently, in 2008.
That was his last leading role, I think.
Yeah. Almost Heroes.
That's an old one, isn't it?
That's 99, the same year as this.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that.
He must have been doing a shed load of movies at the same time.
Because let's be honest.
Birds of America.
I think he was the most popular friend. Everyone I meet, he's their favourite one. Everyone.
I'm trying to unless it's a female friend, but out of the male friends, he's usually the best remembered. Like, David Schwimmer.
But most girls as well say to me Chandler was their favourite one in the cast.
Yeah. I mean, so David Schwimmer as Ross was fantastic.
He's the one I most often hear people don't like. My dad don't like Ross.
Yeah, well, his character became very unlikable. Like, he started off quite sympathetic, and then as the series went on and he got more toxic towards women, and he had more divorces, and that
Three divorces!
I'll be honest, Ross over time became one of the funniest ones, though. He became funnier over the series, but he became less sympathetic at the same time. I don't know
why my voice is all high and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
That's gonna hurt tomorrow.
Yeah. It's my fajitas!
My fajitas! That's my favourite episode of Ross. That's just brilliant.
Yeah.
That pivot!
Yeah. Pivot. This couch has been cut in half. That's what I'm telling you. This couch is cut in half. Did you cut this couch in half? This couch has been cut in half. I would like my money back. I will accept store credit. I'll give you store credit in the amount of $3.
I will accept it. But yeah, David Schwimmer did brilliantly with the character of Ross, despite the fact that he became written more of a psychopath as the show went on. But
Have you ever seen the edit where someone the My Sandwich scene?
Yeah.
Have you seen the edit where someone's put they put horror movie music in it, and it's like he's a psychopath?
That scene is the one time I think people are unfair
Yeah.
Because actually Ross was not a psycho in that scene. He was a man having a mental breakdown,
Yeah.
but we're meant to laugh at him having a mental breakdown.
Did you
And then take the
confuse-
piss out of the fact that he's trying to recover.
Yeah.
And it's actually like, no, actually, that's the bit we shouldn't be mocking.
Did you confuse it for your own turkey sandwich with a moist maker?
My sandwich. But yeah, but David Schwimmer's career has taken off after Friends more in the direction department, like as a director rather than as a star. Matt LeBlanc, he did a few feature films like Lost in Space, things like that. I actually wished he'd had a better action career, because I actually think he's quite good in Lost in Space, and I think he should have done an action career, but instead he did the series Joey, which essentially tanked him ever doing anything else.
Yeah,
again,
he's got a sitcom at the minute, or it might have just ended. But I think it's one of those that it's done okay in the ratings, but not great.
Is that the one where he plays himself?
No,
because he did that for a while.
Episodes where he plays himself.
Yeah, that was good. Episodes was good.
This one's basically, it's very similar to Tim Allen's Last Man Standing,
right?
Where he's like an older dad and he's got 3 teenage girls, I think it is.
Oh,
and it's a bit. All the jokes are about how he's out of touch now. It's
I've not heard about that one.
It's a bit sad to watch, because you're like, oh, but this is Joey.
Yeah.
And other than that, he's the host on Top Gear.
Well, he was only for 2 years.
Right.
He left very quickly after.
Did he?
Yeah. He did the first season with Chris Evans, not the Avenger Chris Evans, but the ginger English host.
That is America's ass.
But then after that, he did 1 season, and then he left the show as well.
Oh, okay.
The thing is Matt LeBlanc he was lovable, but he wasn't quick-witted. At least he did appear quick-witted, shall we say. A lot of what Matthew Perry did, he invented on the spot, and people noticed. They latched onto that. And I think, to be fair as well, Matt LeBlanc was from all accounts I've heard, is a lovely guy.
Yeah.
But he was a guy playing a part. Whereas Matthew Perry, he injected a lot of himself into Chandler. So I don't really fully get why, maybe because of that, but people imprinted the connection between Chandler and Matthew Perry more than they did, I think, any of the other Friends and their actors. Like Jennifer Aniston, maybe.
She's done plenty of films afterwards, hasn't
but
she?
yeah, she's probably had the best film career since Friends.
Yes. Yeah, because other than the Scream franchise, Courtney Cox hasn't really got anything feature film-wise.
But she does, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's had, like, Cougar Town, decent TV shows. Matt LeBlanc has done decent TV shows. David Schwimmer has done a lot of direction. Lisa Kudrow, I don't know if she's done an awful lot. She did a few popular films while she was doing Friends.
Lisa Kudrow's done lots of stuff always. My dad said this when I saw him the other day, and he was saying he sees her pop up a lot as like a one-time guest in lots of different shows.
Yeah.
And I've seen that as well. Loads of stuff like for example, The Good Place. She's in the last season of The Good Place for, I think, 2 episodes. And I see her pop up in lots of things.
So it's basically a guest star in multiple other projects.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, she was in that as well. She's Kimmy's mum.
Right.
Lots of little appearances. I think that's it for 3 to Tango.
Yeah, it's a very odd
last tango, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting film, but I don't think enough for most people to need to watch it.
No, it's not something to deliberately seek out unless you've got an itch for some more Matthew Perry content. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Second Take Cinema. We really appreciate it. As always, please do like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. Follow us on all our social media, and check out our other show, VGMP, the Video Game Movie Podcast, where we talk about video game movies in all of their sometimes questionable glory. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time on Second Take Cinema.